live video. Oh, okay. Now, put this here. It works. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You might have to just shift the angle a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I can get it all.
Huh?
I can help when you sit, do it.
Yeah, okay. Pretty good. I should make it.
Srila Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Uchidila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Sthatara Satra Shri Srimad Swami Maharaj ki jai. Uchidila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Sthatara Satra Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Chubaka Maharaj ki jai. Uchidila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Sthatara Satra Shri Srimad Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj ki jai. Uchidila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Sthatara Satra Shri Srimad Bhakti Vigyan Bhakti Maharaj ki jai. Uchidila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Sthatara Satra Shri Srimad Bhakti Bhagavad-Gita Maharaj ki jai. Se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Adha Jeep Mayapur Shri Madha Jeep Pajama Jeep Madha Jeep Kola Jeep Patra Jeep Jana Jeep Odhijuna Jeep Udura Pala Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Kopa Gopi Gogo Vedanta Rasa Vedanta Shri Bhajamandala ki jai. Shri Shama Purni Radha Purni Muni Kanga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Yogamaya Purnamasi ki jai. Gopishwar Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Surasai Shakuju ki jai. Shri Purushottam Chacha ki jai. Shanga Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Hari.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devami Hari Priye Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshai Kshiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Numaste Charanarvindam Brindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshava Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Sikh Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga. And my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. My Dandavat Pranams to this book, Secret Truths of the Bhagavatam by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Now we've come to chapter 4, and there are 7 chapters in this book, so we're in the middle. But there's also appendixes in the back, which are also very wonderful, and explanations of different songs, that he had at various devotees' houses when he was here in New Braj. In 1999, these lectures were given for a whole week, 7 lectures, evening lectures. So, all right, so now this chapter is titled Krishna. He is not a worldly boy or worldly boyfriend, and Srimati Radhika is not a worldly girlfriend. Their most elevated love, it is not material lust. Their love is beyond the touch of all bodily senses and even beyond the mind. Now, Gurudev is quoting a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I heard this verse a number of times, and then the other day when I was reading this to myself, I was going over the verse to try to memorize it. Swami explaining what is rasa. Gurudev is quoting this verse because in the context of trying to understand what is the love of Radha and Krishna. It has nothing material, lust and material world. So, Srila Goswami gives a very, very beautiful description of what is rasa. And this is the verse. Vyatitya bhavana vartma yash chamatkara bharabhu Hridi satvojjvala badham svadate sa Hridi satvojjvala badham Hridi sattva ujjvalam. That means the transcendental moods in the heart. Badham, they become continually increasing. Svadate sa omataha. So, rasa, this is the translation. Rasa, and you can remember this, because that's what it's all about. The Krishna consciousness movement is rasa. But if you don't know the definition verse, this is the actual definition verse by Rupa Goswami. What is rasa? How does this rasa manifest? Because otherwise, if you don't understand, then you can never understand Radha and Krishna. And there's the translation is, rasa is the miraculous staibhav, permanent emotion, which is the veritable repository of wonder, and which is experienced after the practitioner crosses beyond the path of contemplation. It is relished in the heart that has become radiant from being thoroughly and completely refined by pure, unalloyed, transcendental existence, Shuddha Sattva. How is that for a definition? we'll have to contemplate this the rest of our lives and enter into it, not just contemplate. Now, Gurudev is explaining, after quoting this verse, he's saying about Radha and Krishna and their love, that no mental speculation can touch them. They are beyond the mind. It is beyond the senses, bodily senses. So that is why Krishna is called Adhokshaja Tattva, or Aprakrita Tattva. So, you know this word Adhokshaja? This is a name of Krishna. Yeah.
Beyond the range of material sense perception.
Yes. He's in the transcendental realm, beyond the range of our mind and our senses and our intelligence. Our material mind, our material senses, our material intelligence cannot reach there. It's impossible. He's in the transcendental realm. You cannot approach, you cannot try to attain from this position through your mind, your senses, and your intelligence. So that name of Krishna is called Adhokshaja. Now, I heard Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explain this name, and I remember it quite well, what he told. It's two different words, Adha and Kshaja. Adha means downward, Adha. And Kshaja means that which propels everyone downward. Adhokshaja. What does that mean in this context? It means that no one is equal to his position. Everyone is below his position. That means being below, you cannot touch him from this position. So, no mental speculation can touch them, Radha and Krishna. And that is why Krishna is called Adhokshaja Tattva or Aprakrita Tattva. What is the meaning of this word Aprakrita? Very important to understand this term Aprakrita.
Not material?
Yes. What does Prakrita mean?
Material?
Yes. Prakrita means this material existence. We know that the term for this material nature is called Prakriti, correct? So the same word is Prakrita. Now, this term Prakrita has been used by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in connection with the term Sahajya. Now, do you know the meaning of this word Sahajya? This is a common vocabulary of devotees. They use the term to refer to who, or what type, what category of persons. They use this term, the devotees use this term Sahajya.
People who try to impose a material conception on spiritual reality.
But what?
I don't know.
Okay, now we're gonna learn that. The term Sahajya.
You know,
I do, but it's right at the tip of my tongue. Please, Maharaj.
Sahajya is not a bad word.
It's not, I remember.
No. Sahajya means natural.
Natural.
And the word Sahaj also means easy, natural, simple. Sahaj. So there's an actual group of conceptions, misconceptions. People form into groups. And they maintain these apasampradayic misconceptions. Okay? So the term apasampradaya generally is referring to someone that has fallen from the actual standard. And there are many, many different versions and types of apasampradayas. 13 were identified by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he was on the planet. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj identified more than 30 when he was on the planet. And now we've identified even more. Various different types of deviation, okay? So, one of those types of apasampradayas are called sahajya. They've taken, because in the Shastras the word sahajya means natural. Just like the moods of the eternal residents of the spiritual world, their love is natural. It's called ragatmik. See? It's natural. Mother Yashoda loves Krishna naturally as her child, okay? But it's much more than a mundane mother's love and all of that, you see. Written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which is called Prakrita Rasa Shatadushani. It's a small book. Prakrita Ras Shatadushani. Now, the term Prakrita Ras means mundane rasa. Mundane rasa. And Shatadushani means the 100, Shata means 100, and Dushani means faults. 100 faults of Prakrita Ras that all of these persons are involved in. They're thinking that they're tasting something transcendental, but no, it's Prakrita Ras. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur vividly 100 verses that he wrote in Bengali language. That has been printed and translated. I mean, I saw a version which was actually translated by Jayapataka Swami, who knows Bengali fluently, quite some years ago, and they printed it. I've seen the printed version of it. Probably it's available online. So, Prakrita Ras. Now, that refers to the opposite. Non-material. This is not Prakrita. It has nothing to do with Prakrita. It's non-material. This is the first point that Gurudev is stressing. You have to first of all know Krishna. You have to know who is Krishna, who is Radha, and what is their love. You have to get a clear understanding that this has nothing at all to do. It is not that by understanding that it is non-material that now you're going to realize it. No, you have to realize it also. But at least for starters, it should be very clearly explained. And you know, all of our acharyas in their purports, especially Srila Prabhupada, he stressed this point again and again, endlessly, thousands of times. How Krishna has nothing to do with the material world, material energy. He's completely transcendental. Now, Gurudev is saying that if we have even a seed of a transcendental Shraddha, faith, even just a seed of it, not that it's even sprouted fully, but we have this seed, and Nishchay. Nishchay means certainty, no doubt. Now, the second line is telling, in what is this referring to? No doubt, complete certainty, firm belief in what? Second line is telling, Krishna Bhakti Koile, Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. This means, if I perform bhakti to Krishna, then sarva karma krita hoy. All other karmas are taken care of by doing bhakti to Krishna. This is called Shraddha. That's why no one can become a Vaishnava unless they have some Shraddha. That's the beginning. It's the beginning. And that Shraddha, of course, Gurudev has explained that all the different stages of bhakti, starting with Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, finally Bhav, and finally Prem. All those stages, Gurudev has explained, are the development of Shraddha. And I want to tell you something that was very interesting to me. One time in Singapore, Gurudev gave this class of his traveling. And he was explaining this point, what is Shraddha? And he said it in a very interesting way. He said, actually, Shraddha is the last fraction of praying. What did Gurudev say? What is Shraddha? The last fraction of praying. Think about that. Last fraction. Gurudev phrased it in that way. We know that anything can be divided up into pieces. And we know that in numbers, this can go on for infinity, right? Fraction of a fraction of a fraction. Put a decimal point and add many numbers behind it, right? So what Gurudev told is, when you get down to the most infinitesimal particle of praying, is called Shraddha. Now what does that say? Let's think about that. What is he saying? I never heard that before. I never read it. But Gurudev explained it in that way.
Shraddha is not just a belief system, it's actual substance.
Yes, because material faith, there's an entire chapter in the Bhagavad-Gita called Divisions of Faith. You know that? It's one of the last chapters.
17.
Which one?
17.
17, yeah. So 18 chapters. So that Krishna chose to explain divisions of faith. So there Krishna is explaining how there are different types of faith according to the what? The material modes of nature. Different individuals have different types of faith that they develop according to the modes of material nature. We will always see that in human beings, in human society. And, they can also be intentionally led to believe certain things, right? We see that always in the political context and everything, okay? The left, the right, the this, the that, okay? So why certain persons ascribe to certain beliefs, belief systems, is because of the modes of nature that they're in. Just like, for example, in the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, 3 different categories, 4 actually. He says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitrin Yanti Patra Vrataha, Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya, Madhya Janopi Yanti Mam. There, Krishna is telling that Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Whoever is worshipping devas, demigods, they will go to the demigods. Pitriryanti, those who are worshipping forefathers, the Pitris, they will go to Pitri Loka. That's their destination. They're worshipping, they'll go there. Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya. Bhutas means ghosts, spirits, like that. Right? Mode of ignorance. Where will they go? Yanti Bhutejya. They will go to the ghosts and spirits. Then Krishna says, Madhya Janopi Yanti Mam. Who worships me, they will come to me. So everything is based in the material modes of nature in this world. And faith is also of different types, according to mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness, and so forth. So that type of faith is not transcendental faith. What do we call transcendental faith? Aprakrita Shraddha. Aprakrita Shraddha, same term, aprakrita, non-material. Yes, there's another term, I'm forgetting it right now, another Sanskrit term. Oh yeah, Paramartik. Paramartik Shraddha. There is Lokik Shraddha, which means ordinary Shraddha, even in the path of Bhakti. There is Lokik, general faith. But Paramartik Shraddha is the term that is used by our acharyas to show the type of transcendental faith that someone has in transcendental destination. Paramartik. What is Paramartik? That term means highest attainment, highest artha, highest necessity. Param for the jiva, jiva swarupa hoy Krishna nityadas, that the jiva will obtain his supreme relationship with the Supreme Lord. Okay, that's Paramartik. So no one can do pure bhakti if they have lokik shraddha. No, they can engage in activities, 9 limbs of bhakti and so forth, but they cannot do shuddha bhakti unless their shraddha has instructed Rupa Goswami in the Rupa Siksha section of Chaitanya Charitamrita that Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. It is a seed. So Gurudev is also talking here right now that if we have even a seed, transcendental shraddha, faith, and we also have honor to hear. That means great respect and honor, and we want to hear. If we have that, then we can gradually understand all these truths. All kinds of lust, it will go away. Process from the beginning. But they should carefully hear. So now, Gurudev is telling, who is Krishna? So what's the first thing? First, Krishna is Bhagavan. That's Krishna. He's Bhagavan. Gurudev's quoting the verse, first verse of Brahma Samhita. Yes. Ishvara Parama Krishna. You know this verse? Should try to learn it sometime. It's full of important information. It's the first verse of the Lord Brahma spoke, and he's defining who is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Sachid Ananda Vigraha. Anadir, Adir, Govinda. Sarva Karana Karana. So now you're remembering.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell, Braj?
Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He's the origin of all.
Mike.
He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes.
So, let's break down the Sanskrit terms. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Ishvara means, okay, so Ishvara Parama Krishna. Well, Lord Brahma is saying that. Because Lord Brahma is a controller. He's one, the biggest one in the universe. But he's saying, Ishvara Parama Krishna. I'm not the Parama Ishvara. Brahma knows. Then he says, Sachidananda Vigraha. What does the word Vigraha mean? Form. Vigraha means form. And here he's telling that yes, he's not formless. This supreme controller, Krishna, he's not formless. He has a form, and his form is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Satchit Ananda. Then he says, that person, Anadir, Adir. You know what that means? What does Adi mean? In this song, Brahma Samhita, every single verse has the words Govindam Adi Purusham.
Govindam Adi Purusham.
Tamaham Bhajami. What is Adi? Is the beginning. And his name is Govinda. That's why Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So, and then the final line, he says, Sarva Karana Karanam. What does Karan mean? Do you know that the causal ocean is called Karana Samudra, where Lord Mahavishnu is lying? It is called the Karana Samudra, the causal ocean. The word Karana means cause. Everything is being caused to exist. So, Lord Brahma is telling Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many different causes. There are many different entities who can be called Karanas, causes. But Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of Sarva Karana. All causes. All causes and persons who cause things to happen. He is the cause of all causes. What a verse. This is such an incredible verse. You see, all tattva. Yes, Sri Krishna Govinda is the embodiment of eternal knowledge and eternity, knowledge and bliss. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of all lesser controllers, and the source of all incarnations. He has no beginning or origin, though he is the source of everything and the cause of all causes. So he ain't got no origin. You see? Because the material mind wants to think, well, okay, Krishna is the origin of everything. Well, where did he come from? That's an irrelevant question. We're dealing with transcendental reality. He is the reality. All reality is coming from him. Achintya, inconceivable, but wonderful. And in the Bhagavad-Gita, what's the first thing that Krishna says to Arjuna? He says, Natvevaham nat jatu nasam, natvam neme janadipa, na chaiva na bhavishyama, sarver vayam ataktaram. So he's saying that, oh Arjuna, you see all these kings on this battlefield who are now assembled, and you see me, and you are here. So Krishna says, Natvevaham jatunasa. There was never a time when I did not exist. First teaching. But then he says, Natvam neme. And also you. There was never a time when you did not exist. Natvam neme janadipa. Janadipa means kings. All these kings, warriors assembled on the battlefield. There's never a time when they did not exist. Then he says, Nachaiva na bhavishyama. And there will never be a time when they do not exist. Not the past, not future. Sarve vayam atakparam. So, now Gurudev is saying, after quoting this verse from Brahma Samhita, he's saying, not only that. What? That Krishna is Bhagavan. Not only that Krishna is Bhagavan. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. There's a big difference between Bhagavan and what?
Swayam Bhagavan.
What is the word Swayam? All of these different incarnations and expansions that have been mentioned now in this chapter, Ete Changsa Kala Pungsa. They are amshas. They are parts. The word amsha means part. And they are kalas. What does kala mean? Plenary part. Part of a part. So he says, all of these that have been mentioned here, they're all amshas and kalas. And then comes the famous line that should be emblazoned in every devotee's brain for eternity. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna is not one of them. He is Bhagavan Swayam. So, Gurudev is saying, not only that, but Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. And then he quotes this very same verse that we've just quoted. And here's the translation of the verse. All of the above mentioned incarnations, they are either plenary portions, or they are portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna, the word but is there. Tu, but. You can also translate it however. But Krishna is not. So Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. So, but Lord Sri Krishna, he is the original personality of Godhead. All of them, these different incarnations, all of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So, Gurudev is saying Krishna is Bhagavan himself. Prajenjanandan, the ocean of rasa. He is Sarva Shaktiman. All kinds of powers, seemingly contradictory to each other, they are within him. He is Shakti, Shakti Mator Abeda. This term, Shakti, Shakti Matayor Abeda. That means, Abeda means no difference. There is no difference between Krishna and his powers. So that term, Shakti, Shakti Matayor Abeda, comes from Vedanta Sutra. So he is Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. He is Sarva Shaktiman. Sarva Shaktiman. He is the embodiment of infinite powers. And Akhil Rasamrita Murti. Akhil Rasamrita Sindhu. He is the complete ocean of the nectar of loving relationships. We hear this, but we have no realization of it. We can only hear. If, after practicing for many thousands of births, we realize what we have heard, then we are very, very fortunate. So, that's Gurudev's presentation of Krishna. Now he says, who are the gopis? Who are they? They are the Vilas Murti. Vilas Murti means they are the pastime expansions of who? Krishna himself. The gopis are expansions of Krishna himself. Krishna is one without a second. He is Advaigyan Paratattva. He is the complete truth, Paratattva, supreme truth. All Vishva Brahmandas, that means all the material worlds, and all the Chit Jagat, all the transcendental worlds, and all Jeev Jagat, all living entities, they have all come from his power, his Shakti. Everything is his Shakti. There is no difference between them. But still, Beda Abeda. There is difference and there is non-difference. We cannot understand this with our mind. We can only understand it through our Guru Parampara. So we know that the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Achintya Bed Abed Tattva. You heard that term before? Achintya, everyone say Achintya.
Bed Abed Tattva.
I'll say then you repeat. Achintya Bed Abed Tattva. Achintya Bed Abed Tattva. Achintya Bed Abed Tattva. So what does Bed mean?
It's difference.
Yes, Bed means difference and Abed means?
Non-difference.
Yes, and that conception, it is true, it's the reality, that everything that exists is simultaneously different and non-different from Krishna. This tattva. And what is the term used before those words? Achintya. Cannot understand. You cannot conceive in mind how something can be simultaneously different and non-different. There are many examples that are given, right? Like, for example, what examples are given? The fire and sparks coming from the fire. The sun planet and the sun rays and the particles in the sun rays, right?
A drop of water in the ocean.
No, not so much in this context. These are the extreme difference, you see. So the jivas and even Krishna's Maya potency, this is all his own personal energies, personal shaktis that emanate from him. So Krishna's shakti is non-different than himself. But then there's also some difference. Some variety is there. So this must be understood. This is part of the 10 philosophical principles, the Das Mool Tattva. One of them is this principle, that everything that exists is simultaneously one and different, inconceivably, from Krishna.
Das Mool.
Das Mool Tattva. In the Jaiva Dharma, there's a chapter for each Das Mool. All right, so we've run out of our time now. So he's saying that, he says, we can only hear. But if after practicing for many thousands of births, we realize what we have heard, then we are very, very fortunate. So now Gurudev is going to tell about the gopis, how they are the Swarup Shakti, and so forth. So this is a very amazing lecture Gurudev has given. I was quite astonished the other day when I was reading this ahead. I was going ahead and reading, and how Gurudev has so succinctly, just, in a few sentences, a few paragraphs, he's given you the whole view. Why? Because now he wants to explain Krishna and the gopis. And unless you know this, you cannot understand that. Right?
Otherwise you'll be sahajiya.
Prakrita. Sahajiya. Yes. Okay. Jago is ready? You ready? You want to start now?
Yeah, I just got some flowers.
Okay.
Prakraha, not apraka.
What? Prakrita.
Prakrita sahajiya.
Yes, Prakrita. Okay. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Vanshalakalpadurvascha kripa sindhudevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo